Hello and welcome back, and thanks for tuning in. So, what a week. This is not a video I was expecting to have to do. It's not a video I was wanting to do, and frankly it's a bloody shock and disappointment to have heard the news from MOFI last week. Thanks to Mike Esposito of the In Groove channel. Literally thanks to him, he's found out some information that's important to know, even though we didn't want to know it, I guess. But basically, Mobile Fidelity are using a DSD digital stage in their workflow, in the production of their Ultradisc original master recordings, and as far as I can make out, pretty much all of their vinyl pressings. So a bit of a shocker, to be perfectly honest. So what does it all mean? Well, I feel obliged to make this video because I've recently, well, over the last year, I've been commenting, reviewing quite a few of these titles. I think I've done maybe 6 or 7, maybe more. I'm not sure. I've got a dozen or so one-steps, and maybe 30 to 50 Mobile Fidelity albums overall, which I've been collecting since the 80s, I think. So anyway, yeah, what does it mean? Well, first thing is, it doesn't change how they sound. I did a recent review just last week of Carole King's Tapestry, and if you check up here, I'll put a link to that. And I compare it against 3 other vinyl pressings, including an original and a couple of other audiophile pressings. And it was well, I won't put a spoiler in if you want to listen to that. It sounds how it sounds, and it sounds the same today, having discovered the truth of the process as it did before. And well, I will say, they sound awesome. They all sound awesome. There's no question. Digital step or not. So that's you know, it doesn't really change the verdict. The records are superb. Is the company, you know, what does it say about the company? Well, the company, I think, are deceitful. There's no question about that. And they've been found out. And I think it's a bit of a, well, it's a heck of a shame that they were kind of cheating us. I feel cheated, to be perfectly honest, and I feel lied to, and I don't like being lied to. But was there any good that came out of that video? I think there was, actually, and I'd like to discuss that. So just to let me go onto their website. If we run through what they say on there about their Gain 2 Ultra Analog system for vinyl. So to quote, Gain 2 Ultra Analog is a proprietary system built and designed by legendary design genius Tim DeParavicini. Now, I knew Tim, and he was a passionate and honourable man, I would say, and it goes on to describe this system. So it comprises a Studer tape machine with customised reproduction electronics and handcrafted cutting amps that drive an autophone cutting head in a restored Neumann VMS 70 lathe. Now, so you've got 2 machines. Well, they showed in the video, you've got 2 machines. There's 2 Studer A80s. Now, the A80 was the top of the range Studer from around about 1970 through to the early 80s, where it was superseded by the A820. So for what I would consider the real heyday of music, the Studer A80 was the flagship of their range, and they've got 2 of these machines, and they've been substantially modified by Tim. And I know what substantially modified by Tim means and sounds like. He's not only completely redesigned all the audio circuitry, they say he's designed the reproduction electronics and the cutting amplifiers and all the rest of it. So all of the audio circuitry will have been totally redesigned. He'll also go through and where necessary, if at all, if there is anywhere necessary, because the Studer A80 is a beautifully engineered machine. But if there is any areas where he can improve things by re-engineering things, he will do that. And I've heard his modifications on a couple of Studers and also on some Denon consumer machines, and they are stunning. There's no question. So the start of this Gain 2 process, playing back the original master on Tim's specially developed Gain 2 repro machine, I don't believe there's anything that could achieve a better analog output from that master tape. So the start of the process is bang on, perfect in my, as perfect enough for me, put it like that. Now the end of the chain with the preview machine, that includes a second head and a very sort of convoluted tape path that allows the output of the preview head to be a second or two in front before the output of the main reproduction head, which goes off via Tim's cutting amplifiers to the lathe. And this allows the cutting engineer to adjust the groove pitch, which means when there's a loud crescendo or heavily modulated bass, which requires a more excursion in the groove to avoid compression, that means they can adjust this. The alternative to that is something called digital delay line, and that was introduced in the mid-70s, and I believe from about 1980 was pretty much universally adopted across the whole record production industry. So even if you've got an AAA recording, that means analog recording, analog mixing, analog mastering. Now that master tape that you've got to produce your piece of vinyl would be cut on a lathe that was likely, more often than not, using a digital to analog conversion stage in it. So the whole SPARS code AAA thing, it's not detailed enough for what analog aficionados, analog addicts, whatever you want to call yourselves, if you are one, want to know. So we shouldn't be terrified about the fact that there's a digital step in there. And as I've said already, these things sound absolutely bloody incredible, digital step or not. So we've got the start of the process, the Gain 2 process, but perfect, near as damn it. We've got the end of the Gain 2 process, perfect, near as damn it. But then what happens between the output of that repro machine and the preview machine where it's played back into the lathe? And that's the grey area. I call it a grey area. They've kind of cleared it up, but has it become more grey? That's the $64,000 question, and one I can't answer for you. Now, I personally disagree with the engineer's assumption that, well, let me rephrase that. I actually agree with them. They state that in their argument for using this DSD step, they state that every tape machine, and therefore every tape copy, introduces its own fingerprint. And yeah, I'd agree with that. Every tape machine does have its own fingerprint, therefore every tape copy will have a fingerprint. But well set up, it is so small. And their assumption only bears any kind of validity if you assume that the analog to digital conversion, of turning that signal that comes out of the repro machine into DSD, and subsequent digital to analog conversion, turning it back to analog for the cutting, is transparent. And it just categorically isn't. I absolutely believe that. So there we go. There's a great start, there's a great finish, and there's a grey area that's in the middle. But at the end of the day, we can only judge them on the sound quality of what they are, and they do sound fantastic. So, do I feel cheated? Yeah. Do I feel aggrieved? Yeah. But will I buy more? Yeah, I will. I mean, if I go back, let's go back to their website. So what have we got coming? I'll just look at the one-steps for now. I mean, one I've been waiting for some time, the Crosby, Stills and Nash. It's one of my favourite albums. I'll have to buy that because I want to know what it sounds like, and I would be surprised if it doesn't sound better than the versions I've already got. I really would. Digital stage or not, without checking, I think I've got a Classic Records version of that. I think I've definitely got originals. I've got a UK and a US original of that, I think. And they sound bloody marvellous, they really do. But it's a marvellous record and can be bettered, I'm sure. What else have they got coming? Well, the Michael Jackson Thriller. It's interesting to note that's listed at 33 RPM, but again, I'm going to have to buy it because I'm intrigued. I really am. It's hardly an album I play very often, but I do have it. When it came out. It's a great sounding record. I'll have to buy it. What else? Miles Davis, Sketches of Spain, Bitches Brew. I think I've got the Bitches Brew MOFI up there. I'm not sure. I think I have. Sketches of Spain. I've got. I found a mint US original 6i of that a few years ago. Still sealed, in fact. I mean, it's not still sealed now. I've played it. It sounds bloody marvellous. James Taylor, Greatest Hits. I'll have to buy that. No question. Elvis Presley from Elvis in Memphis. Now that will be really interesting. I've already got one of these. So this is, when did this come out? 1981. So here we go. Mobile Fidelity. This is what they used to sound like. Elvis in Memphis. It's an amazing record. Beautiful sound. Now this won't have a DSD stage in it because DSD hasn't been invented in 1981. So this will be really interesting to get to compare against the one-step, because we can literally just see how the MOFI process over the years has developed and what you get, what improvements, if any, there are. And I say this really does sound good. So let's hope the new one sounds even better. And if it does, then it's testament to their process, even if it has bloody digital in it. I've also got this, which I bought very recently, and I haven't even opened yet. As you can see, still sealed. That was next up on my kind of review list, so I will get around to that in the next week or two. Interestingly enough, I'm not entirely certain, but I kind of guess that the original recording for this was digital. We know they've already done one-steps of digital recordings, the Don Fagen Nightfly, which sadly I don't have. That is one I'd really like to get my hands on. But of course that was a digital recording, so it's and it sounds. I haven't heard the MOFI, but it sounds great. So it's not the end of the world that they've got a digital stage in there, but it is very disappointing, and I don't appreciate their massively misleading stance on this. They said that going forward they're going to be far more transparent, and I really hope that they do. Yeah. The verdict is I'm definitely not pleased about what's happened. I'm pissed off, frankly, with them. But they do still sound just as good as they did before we found out this bombshell, and I will continue to buy them, even though maybe a little less enthusiastically than I was, which won't be a bad thing for my wallet. And on that note, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, watching, and I'd like to thank all my new subscribers. I had quite a raft of new subscribers in the last week or two, so thank you very much to all of you, and please check out other videos on the channel. I talk about tape quite a lot as well. In fact, there's another video here if you'd like to have a look, where I compare a Mobile Fidelity One-Step Ultradisc against an Analog Productions Ultra Tape. Yeah, I hope you'd be interested to look at that. Anyway, because that is comparing a master tape copy, all analog, with the MOFI One-Steps, which we've just been talking about. So anyway, thanks very much again, and I'll hopefully see you all soon. Bye then. Bye.